Marc and I talk a lot about how when we first discovered street art and we first started writing about it and blogging about it, how the major traditional media outlets called street art vandalism. I mean, that's what it was called. They're vandals, it's vandalism, it's destroying our neighborhoods. And because the internet is such a democracy and people were really voting with their mouse button, the more they came to the site, the more our site rose on the Google results. The more any writer from the New York Times went to look up different things about some of these artists, the more
the editors got younger too. The editors were graffiti artists. So if half the New York Times writers are ex-graffiti artists, so they're going to be like, listen, I'm going to write about
what we like.
I'm not going to do this anymore. And the New York Times is not selling as many newspapers to the Upper East Side Woody Allen crowd, so they don't have anything to lose. But it was true when we did. I remember it was Mother's Day,
the walking tour,
and we put this thing on the website, and we said we're going to do a walking tour.
Wait, what year would this have been?
I don't know.
Well, it's the first year of.
I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, 7. Who knows?
Okay, but Mother's Day, nonetheless. Okay.
It just happened to be Mother's
Day.
Very
festive.
Like 06, 05.
But we're like, and we really took. There was so much street art in Soho in our neighborhood. Like it was, you couldn't go a step, and it was like exploding with art, and it was just an amazing thing.
Wheat paste, like what?
Everything. Stencils,
sculptures attached to the sides of buildings.
It was amazing. And so we put on this website, okay, well, we're going to meet on a corner. And we weren't going to be like a formal thing where we're going to take a timeout kind of little thing, street art walking tour. We just said we're going to meet on this corner. And if you're interested in doing a walking tour, come and meet us.
You didn't have a pipe or anything? You weren't going to do the whole...
Conflex.
That's right. It was part of Conflex. And so the first year we had 75 people, which is difficult to walk around with 75 people.
It's a lot of people.
And it was Mother's Day. And so you have these people looking at stickers on the back of a stop sign, and people are coming out and they're like, what is going on there? You guys are idiots.
Like
what are you
looking
doing?
at the back of a stop
These
sign.
guys are looking at the back of stop signs. And
everyone's crowded around mailboxes.
Yeah, they're looking at the ground. And then people were like they weren't throwing tomatoes at us, but they were like jeering at us, like, you guys are a bunch of morons. But two things happened that were really interesting. One was this young kid comes with somebody who was about in their 70s. And he said, I wanted to come on this walking tour because I've watched I've followed your website for a while. And I brought, to get here, my grandmother brought me, and this is my grandmother. And she said to us, I see New York now completely different, and
She's from the Upper West Side.
She was a junkie because what we were basically saying was that stencil of Gandhi on Crosby Street is hurting nobody. That tag is actually giving authenticity to that bad Gap ad. And when you do it in a way that's non-threatening, people of all types. They become junkies, and she became one of our biggest fans, and people bring their parents all the time, and the parents are our biggest fans.
Well, they walk in as skeptics, and
they walk in saying, well, I'm doing this because I'm bringing somebody else, and then you realize
I'm trying to relate to my 15-year-old or something.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
It's pretty funny.
And so anyway, this walking tour happened, and then this guy on a skateboard, cruises up, and he's got like a little pad. And he says, what are you guys doing? And we're like, well, we're doing a street art tour. And we were so naive. I'm like, oh, and he wrote these notes. Like 2 days later, we opened the New York Times to this, just this horrific article that was patronizing and horrible and saying, who are these people? And
walking around looking at vandalism.
And then the coda to all of this is 5 years later, we get a phone call from a writer at the New York Times, and they're writing the travel section. And what their story is how street art is an attraction for people to come to New York City. So take that arc. Just think about that. Somebody writing about how it's vandalism and it's horrible, and then 5 years later, the same newspaper is writing about how it's the marketing of the city. It's a huge